back, guys. This is Automotive Anonymous. That is the all-new 2024 Subaru Crosstrek. It's actually the base trim level, the first of the four, and today we're going to review it. It's in a color that I like to call black. If you're interested, I've also reviewed a white premium and done a 5 things I love and a 5 things I hate video about this all-new platform. So I've already gone quite a bit of bum time in the seats, and I have a lot to share with you guys. So we're going to do our typical review. That means we're going to do a walk around, go through the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 at the GPS, and then the final thoughts to decide if you should leave it at the lot or you should in fact go consider driving one, maybe buying one, and seeing what the craze is all about. Big thanks to the Twin Falls Subaru in Southern Idaho for letting me borrow it for the day, and let's dive right in with this review. There's a lot of awesome things that Subaru did right for this all new model year for 2024. This is the first year of the 3rd generation, and it's really expounded a lot on what the 2nd generation was. If you can tell, the body lines look almost identical. They say a lot of it is totally new, but a lot of that just means slightly reworked body panels and slightly different materials. Overall, it's very familiar, very Subaru, very Crosstrek. Something that Subaru did well is include LED headlights on even the base model, kind of like they did on the Subaru Forester to up its safety rating. I really do like that though, because the halogens before were pretty sad. Something else that you get is you get the 4th gen eyesight camera. That means 3 cameras, baby, up top to help you have a more sophisticated system like the Ascent and the Outback had. And then you get some nice wheels even on the base. They're black, and you get some functional cladding, just like the WRX. So you don't ever have to buy a WRX again in the year 2024 to get front fender cladding. Get out your pens and paper, because here comes all the nitty-gritty stuff. The Crosstrek is still about 14.7 feet long. The wheelbase is just under 9 feet. It's about 5.3 feet tall, 6 feet wide. It still has the Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive with a 370 final drive ratio, which means it's decently balanced between putting the torque and the horsepower down while getting decent MPG, while having 8.7 inches of ground clearance, which is basically class leading for this type of little vehicle. The gas tank, it's located right there on the passenger side. It's a 16.6 gallon tank. So when you're getting about 27, 28 city, 33, 34 highway, you're gonna be road tripping for over 500 miles, which is actually pretty impressive for that size of a gas tank. But wait, there's more. To do a full circle, you need about 35 feet in the Crosstrek. It can tow about 1,500 pounds, but if you have a brake trailer and you have the Wilderness that has a few upgradeds, that can actually now tow 3,500 pounds, which is pretty crazy because these weigh 3,300 pounds. So if you're thinking that, I do recommend you be careful, because towing something heavier than you behind yourself is something not for the faint of heart. Wilderness Crosstrek, you say? What is this? I don't see that on the website. Well, it's not one of the 4 trim levels, because right now we have the base, we have the premium, the sport, and then the limited. So the Crosstrek should be appearing in a Wilderness trim level pretty soon, as well as a hybrid, I would assume. Although Subaru seriously better rework the hybrid, because that barely sold a few thousand units a year of the 2nd generation. I reviewed one of those. They're not overly impressive because they weigh several hundred pounds more. You lose 6 cubic feet of room in the trunk, and you pay about 10,000 more to barely get better MPG. But that's another story and not the one of today's focus. And so far, if you like the all-new Crosstrek, don't forget to like this video, give it a big thumbs up so that I know what you want to see more of and to help show your support. I wish you guys could see it in person, but the sparkly black paint looks fantastic. There is seriously a ton of sparkle in this paint color. And then we have some nice 17-inch wheels with the 225/60/17, so there's actually quite a bit of sidewall for this size of tire overall. And then when you're going base, you get the physical key. So no proximity key features to lock and unlock. You can see it's just an old school handle, not painted. You have the key access point right there, and no remote start on this one, but let's hop inside. The door panel of the Crosstrek is very familiar to all the other ones. Slightly different materials depending on the trim level, but kind of like a carpet type of door card. Very soft touch wide material, about a 10-finger door handle that has a nice lip to grab. All of your buttons, your fake carbon fiber theme around the handle, and then your single bottle holder with some snacks. And Subaru's chimping out on you, because I don't know why you don't have the rest of that as a door pocket. For what reason would they have? Otherwise, unnamed speaker. They do sound okay, but not as good as like a Harman Kardon or the old Rockford Fosgate that used to be offered. Nothing on the door sill, not even a baby size Subaru like some of the other models get, but this one has a few options over the base, all of which are basic things like floor mats and sunshade and stuff like that. But you have the hood release, your fuse box, your dash lighting, knee airbag, and rubberized pedals. Otherwise, manually adjusted seats all around. Sitting inside the Crosstrek is a really nice place to be, but we're gonna fire it up with that old school key. The needles, they do their little dance. The Subaru emblem appears. And everything just roars to life with that little 2-liter. We'll go through the options for the info right there, show you what you're getting. Otherwise, lighting stock on the left, all of your volume and info buttons there as well. And then adaptive cruise on the right. If you want to get out of eyesight cruise, you just have to push the cruise button and then hold this button right here. You'll hear the chime and you'll see the change right there. To get out of that, you can just push that again. Otherwise, you have sport and intelligent mode. The horn sounds decent. And overall, it's just a nice interior. But then what's going on with the double screen? It does have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay that you can plug in to access, and then you can get through your driver assistant features down there. Seriously though, I miss the 6.5 and the 8-inch screen on the 2nd gen Crosstrek that had the CD player. I personally don't think that's an upgrade. I have the big giant 11.6-inch screen in my Outback Wilderness, and I've driven plenty of each, and I like physical buttons personally. But at least on this new generation, you still have a plug-in, an aux, and a nice big rubber-lined cubby. You can still drop it down, go into low, and play musical gears. Not, because there's no paddle shifters on this steering wheel. As you've probably already noticed, there's no leather wrap either. And then you can't up or down there, it's just a low gear. Otherwise, electronic parking brake, there's no more manual pull lever. No, heated seats. You do get a 12 volt, you do get some cup holders, and then you do get a nice big center console. And I think Subaru forgot to take out the CD player holder on this one. So maybe someday they'll include a CD player in the center console like they do on other Subarus. But not today, not on the base. You also don't have anything on the base's rear view mirror, no home lane, compass, anything like that. You have some incandescent lighting, and then nothing up top, no moonroof on this model. But let's turn it off. Let's hop in the back and sit behind herself. The backseat door panel basically follows the same theme, a lot of the same type of materials, small bottle holder, small snacks, unnamed speaker, but ginormous handle with your 1 point of power to operate the window. Otherwise, you have a little bit of a grip design right there, probably so if you have to step on to get up to roof rails, if you have those installed, you can do that. Otherwise, it's a 60-40 split. They're light, thin seats, easy to drop. This one does not have the backrest support, but there is your child safety tether. And then you can easily hop in at 5'11". I sit behind myself pretty well. I have probably 3 or 4 inches of room. Crosstreks are honestly extremely spacious in the back, but on the base, I don't have much else to go or to accommodate me. No armrests like you get on some of the other ones now. So if you want to be a backseat driver, you're gonna have to sit on the passenger side. But let's go around, pop the hatch, see what else we get with this 24 Crosstrek. I honestly think the rear of the Crosstrek for this 3rd gen looks pretty aggressive. Those LED taillights look fantastic. But when you're back here, you can unlock it, but it's not gonna lift for you. It's just a manual hatch. The button is right there under the Subaru emblem, and then you can see the cutout where the pin code would be if you had a higher trim level. I have a video on how to set that for those that have that. Super cool feature. Otherwise, we're gonna lift it up. Those shocks do a fantastic job, especially when it's warm out. In the cold, they might not do so well. But then you have lighting and a couple tie downs on the left, a couple more tie downs on the right. You have a place to put a dog bone. A dog bone? A dog bowl. That's where you put your dog bowl. Your dog bones, those actually fit under the floor right there, but we'll get to that in a second. This one does have the all-weather mat down here, and then the factory cloth mats. So now it's time to get to the spare tire with all the tools. It is a temporary spare, not a full size. And then there's a little bit extra on the periphery, so you could put your Snickers right there so that you're prepared to be yourself when you're changing the tire. And like I mentioned, that's where the milk bones go, next to the dog bowl. Otherwise, it's easy to reach, easy to lower. And then the rear passenger side basically is identical, but as I mentioned before, there is your map pocket, so that's where the backseat driver goes. And then this is the 60 split. It's a little bit heavier than the 40, but honestly, not too bad. If you're riding shotgun, you're back to the land of the slightly bigger door pocket and having an extra button. Otherwise, the door cards, the materials, they're all basically the same as you've already seen, and you still have the fake carbon fiber theme. Thank you, Subaru, for that. And no power options on the seat, just the bar and the handle to recline. But our backpack's doing well, it's safe, and it's staying hydrated, which I recommend. Otherwise, we have rubberized mats. Down here, you can see what this one's going for. It's a few hundred under sticker. And then a nice, decent sized glove box, which just seems to be a carryover. It's big enough for what you need, but it doesn't fit any outlets in it like you get on the Outback. I know what you guys are waiting for. Let's see the engine. Let's see the 2-liter in the CVT. All right, I'll show you. Let's pop the hood. And there it is. But I do want to say, black paint on an 80+ degree day just sitting in the sun. I think I got 2nd degree burns popping it open for you guys. But you know what? It was worth it, because that's a good engine. That 2-liter makes about 152 horse. Not much torque. It's in the same ballpark. But you know what? Subaru does pretty good engineering on their engines. All the reservoirs you can see are up top. Top mount oil filter is also a fantastic feature of this. And then you have some induction through the hood, through the filter, through the intake baffling to the throttle body right there in silver, and then the upper intake manifold. You can then read the block numbers, and the block is right there. Alternator up top, oil dipstick. Everything is easy to get to. If you're just going around town, this is plenty of power. But if you're living in the mountains, if you go up to the mountains, if you drive at altitude, if you tow, I really think you need to test drive a 2.5 Boxer in the Sporter Limited before you make your decision. I also have plenty of videos on that, but that's another message for another time. Otherwise, here's the engine. Time to drop the hood, take it for a drive. Time to teleport to the road and see how it drives, and then we'll get to the 0 to 60 and finish up with our final thoughts. Initial driving impressions of the base 24 Crosstrek is that it's really good and very familiar, very Subaru. Visibility is fantastic because Subaru likes to offer you big giant windows. What else do they like to offer you? Good rear view mirrors that go right through the center of the cabin, and then nice big side mirrors so you can see that Chevy Silverado perfectly in your rear left flank. Acceleration around town is absolutely fantastic in the little 2-liter. But today's altitude, we're at the equivalent of a mile above sea level. So when you see the 0 to 60, you might be a little bit disappointed with what it actually does when it's suffering for quality air, quality oxygen. But just around town, it feels absolutely fantastic. When I owned a 2019 Premium for 2 years and 40,000 miles, I was getting on average about 33 miles per gallon. And I thought it was pretty impressive for how capable this vehicle is. Remember, the wheelbase is just under 9 feet. It does a U-turn in about 17 or 18. It only weighs 3,300 pounds, and it actually has legroom in the back seat for your adult-sized friends. So it's very capable, very practical. It does a lot of things really well, especially if you have a lot of snow. Personally, I've probably not gone through more than 8 or 9 inches of snow in any of the Subarus I've owned where I live. And you know what? It's done fantastic. That's the kind of snow that I used to put winter studded snow tires on my trucks, or a little bit of weight, maybe 2 or 3 sandbags in the bed for it. But in the Subaru, where it has better weight distribution over the rear, it just does awesome. Additionally, the armrests are comfortable. The steering wheel and the steering position you'll find is fantastic as well. And the center console does a good job too. The radio I'm not overly impressed with, but it's pretty average for, you know, a non-upgraded Subaru. The split screen though, what the heck is going on with that, guys? I've only driven one of these in a base 2023 Subaru Outback. The bases are hard to find. I don't even think I found a base Crosstrek last year. If I did, I apologize for not recalling that specifically. But I haven't even found a base Forester or a base Ascent or Legacy because they're not often on the lot, they're not often ordered. So it's really cool to find this one to bring it to you guys. You're still likely a top safety pick, even without some of the extra safety features that might make it, you know, top safety pick plus if it was a different manufacturer's model like the CX-30 or something like that. That is in fact the plus. But Crosstreks are a 5-star crash test rating, top safety pick. They do a really good job. They're going to protect you and your family as much as you realistically can for a vehicle of this size. And it just feels fantastic. So whether you're checking out some farm fields on the right or some country western stores on the left, you can see where you're going. The brakes work well. There's not much dead fuel before they engage. And then the steering is pretty direct for being the electronic power steering that you have. It doesn't seem to be quite as sensitive as my Outback Wilderness, which I do appreciate because that thing is sometimes a little bit too much. You of course still have all of your eyesight adaptive cruise features that you can easily access. And you can still go through the screens. I just don't prefer it compared to physical buttons like what the 23 Crosstrek had. If you're gonna miss that, if you're gonna miss the CD player, go find one while you still can. Or if you want the manual transmission, this is a CVT. You're gonna have to go 2023 or older for that. I have a review of a 2023 manual Crosstrek, and it's still to this date the funnest one I've driven. Anyways, this is a really good ride. The comfort is fantastic. Backpack's having a good time. The seat bolstering, you can see, is not very aggressive, so a lot of people are gonna sit in here pretty well. And then the acoustics, I honestly think are really good, with more of a carpet on the door card and then no power moonroof. There's not really any echoing off of hard surfaces. It's pretty cool. But I know you guys are waiting for that 0 to 60, so let's jump to our private road, show you what this 2-liter puppy can do. 0 to 60, we are at about 5,400 feet of density altitude, so this vehicle is down on power about 17 to 20%. You can see traction controls off, and we are in sport mode. I'm gonna brake rev the CVT, and then we'll see what it can do. I'll verbalize the true 0 to 60, and then the GPS graph after the bottom left corner shows without the foot of roll the way it's rated. Let's go. The CVT's holding like it should. And true 0 to 60 came in at 10.73 seconds with just me in the car doing a rev launch in about a mile above sea level equivalent. Let's get to our final thoughts. Final thoughts of the all-new 2024 third generation of the Crosstrek is, honestly, it's a really good platform. I'm glad they kept prices the same in a world that is increasingly going more and more expensive on vehicles. And I think they offer quite a bit. Now that we have standard LED headlights, I think that's a good win. There's a few things missing that we used to have on the base or the lower trim levels. But honestly, it's a good trade-off, I think. It's more aggressive looking. It's new, you know, more years redefining it. And the ones that have the 8-speed CVT equivalent, it's honestly a little bit better transmission. It feels a little bit more refined than previous ones. Honestly, I think you can't go wrong either way if you're going to buy a Crosstrek, but definitely drive one, check one out, go to whatever dealer is your favorite, and see for yourself what all the hype is about, why there's 155,000 of these sold a year, and do yourself a favor, drive the 2.5 liter and the 2 liter so that you can make a more informed decision on which one's right for you. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please consider liking it. Comment below your thoughts, your opinions, your social security number, and your mother's maiden name. And then if you're interested, you can subscribe and watch more of my stuff. Otherwise, guys, I hope you do fantastically well. Until the next one, take care.